Yo, what's up, guys? We randomly got the update on a Saturday. What's the deal with that? Come to us. Why updates on Saturday? But we got the update of the new R5s. They didn't upgrade the drop rate on any of the dungeons itself, though. So you still get the same amount of legendaries as you got before, which I'm slightly disappointed about because in the end, the drop rates for a B12 to now an Abyss Heart was upgraded by like times 2.5. Whereas we never actually had that upgrade for R5 in the first place. So that's still kind of behind. Maybe that they're doing something step by step and therefore they're going that way. But we now do have where we have split up similar to what we have in the Rift Beast for what do you get as drops over here. And I think a lot of people might be looking as like, oh, yeah, I see fire over here. I'm going to be farming fire. Yes and no, because if you look at the rest of Fire, sure, Despair really good. Vampire, you don't need that many of. Fight, you don't need that many of. Determination, you don't need at all. Endure, you barely need. Enhance, you barely need. Tolerance, you also barely need. That's actually, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wasted sets. You might say like some of them you kind of use half. So let's claim 5. If we look at Wind, we have Rage, Fatal, Destroy, Seal, Revenge, Shield, Nemesis. I would say none of them really have too high value unless you really care about cleaving, and then Rage and Fatal become a little bit more interesting, but none of them really have too much value. So the Wind one kind of falls off for most people. Like, if you wanted to farm Wind, I would actually recommend to just do normal R5, and you still have a chance to get like the Despair, the Fire, the Will, and the Swift, and all of that kind of sense. So then it comes down to the water one, which I think is going to be the most interesting one, because in the end, energy and blade is still one of the most farmed things, because that's what you get in Giants, and I think everyone is stuck in Giants for the last I don't know how long. Will is really good. Swift, of course, also Giants, but focus, accuracy, and guard are the more useless ones in here. So in this case, I would say that there's 2 good. Well, sure, this also has 2 good. But if you keep in mind, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. If we have over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So they did it once again with Violent, where Violent is in the drop table, which has 1 extra. So we have 8 over here, out of which I would say just 2 are good. So that's 6 useless, maybe 5 useless. Over here, we have 7, 2 good. And I wouldn't necessarily say 5 useless. I would say maybe you could count the blade and the energy for half, but then it's still 4 useless compared to the 5 useless in here. So what does that mean for this? I would say that farming the water and the fire is by far best. I would mainly even focus on water, and you could use the horns and the claws, especially the horns you were already using towards gems or grinds in the most places. Mainly the beast claws I was using towards gems. Now that we have the change where you can first place a gem and then afterwards place a grind, maybe it becomes more interesting for horns to also be in the sense of going for the legendaries on the gems. Could be a thing as well. But for that reason, I think I will try it out where I mainly farm the water one, and I will throw these 2 mainly on Violent and Despair. But I think you still have to farm a little bit of this, which it does kind of suck that there's so much on the drop table. Like, these 2 straight up sell. This one also straight up sell. This you maybe get some here and there, but there's just so many of the combined sets in here, which just makes this really bad. Might you ask, do you already have like the proper teams for this? No, I do not. Will I be making videos on the proper teams? Yes, I will. So this was the team that was my old team on the general R5 thing. I am pretty sure on Wind, this team will still work. On the Fire one, I'm pretty sure this team will still work, because the main damage comes from the Brandia and the Bale, and then this is team Branded and team Land, like armor breaks, and this thing, same thing. Against the Fire one, maybe you should change the Arang, but Arang is probably, and the Prilia, I think, yeah, Prilia and Arang are kind of in the bad position over here. But I'm pretty sure you can use this exact same team for the Fire one. I was actually not really using this team altogether anymore. I don't think I have a save from that team. Maybe if I go into this one, does it have the save over here? Yeah, this is what I've been using for the most part, and I'm pretty sure that this would also work straight up into the new Fire. Let's actually give that a try. I can make more decks right now, right? Yep. Let's see if this one runs on the new one as well. It's like half poor, half not ruined and stuff, but This is to the point that it is ruined in a certain way that it legit doesn't even matter. So let's see if this runs, and it's gonna run bad. It's not gonna run like 20 seconds, whatnot, but it's just going to do something of like, hey, it's gonna work. So main idea is Daragon beats everything. That's just the main thing to it. It's so simple to run R5. It's really not that difficult, and I'm pretty sure that this would work for this sense as well. Probably I would have to fine-tune it a little bit more where the Daragon gets the turn faster, but in this case, he already starts getting the turns in, and he starts rocking way too much damage, and he just kills everything. That's just the simple way to it. You can run this on wind, you can run this on fire, but you can absolutely not run this on water. Water is the only dungeon which I would say is fairly different, because there's no good Bale, there's no good Brandia, there's no Daragon, these three units are pretty much the kings of this, and this time it's really poorly tuned, where I think you are... Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I have the Jongnom somewhere on defense, so it's moving all the way first, whereas you normally want to have it on fight runes and not move it at all and kind of stuff. But still, 39 seconds. It's fairly easy to run this. Would you optimize this? Definitely way to go. But the Daragon team, like, let me show you how this is ruined right now. Let me show you how poor this is. So this thing does actually make sense. This thing is, yep, totally does not make any sense. You do make sense. You miss a rune over there. You miss 2 runes over there. This thing is actually ruined. You, yep, totally makes sense. Not at all. Like, many of those things over here just legitimately ruined as whatever, and it still runs decently fast. So that's just the main thing on it. Just because the Daragon beats that whole thing. That's as simple as it is. So I would say it is interesting to make an R5 team for this to be actually fast. And then for the other one, just use a whatever team in case you do want to run it, because I think this will be run more often. So then the big question is, what would work over here? Well, I do want to do a little bit more testing. And with that testing, I do want to get into more proper teams, because, of course, this is not going to be running for that altogether. Also, the Ken is a really strong unit, which I cannot be using over here. Options that I will be looking at, because I think I have to replace mainly these 3 units. I probably have to replace you, and I would have to replace you, but you are technically an easy replace over there, and then just place something else in here. That part is not that difficult. But what are the heavy damage dealers for wind towards water? Because I think they're kind of bad. Like, sure, you could go for a Sonya, but it's not really the thing that you're looking for. Might be looking at an Odin kind of team. That could be a thing, but I'm not too sure about that. Unit that definitely crossed my mind is Argon, because Argon in the end does have the skill 3 similar to a Brandia, but it is a bit worse. But I do want to take my time to actually craft a proper team. If you have any creative ideas and you already did find like a decent to a good team, let me know in the comments as well. But yeah, I would say that Argon might be interesting. Also, if we're expanding towards water itself, Kung Fu Girl on water is Shaolin is definitely a strong damage dealer on enemy debuff, so that might be an interesting one right there as well. But I would have to see, because in the end, Bale is just incredibly strong. Brandia is by far best in slot as well. And you kind of have to replace both, which does make it a little bit harder. Let's actually see if we go in here. If we go for wind and we go damage on harmful effects, what do we have on this? Yeah, Naomi, it's not that strong. It's okay, but it's definitely not that strong. And having this in the passive, it's also not that crazy. So sure, it does do a little bit more damage, but it's not that crazy. This thing is more for AoE, so it's not that crazy. This thing, I'm pretty sure, is it on the skill 3? Wait, inflicts more damage. Yeah, it's just a 10%, which is also not that much. It is an option, but it doesn't sound that strong. This thing is just on the skill 1, but her base attack is horrible. This thing is also on the AoE, which makes it a little bit worse. So yeah, all of these wind units are not all too crazy, except for the Argon, which is kind of the bad element to do this with. We want to do it with water. Shaolin is definitely the way to go. And you could also go for the Khan. Khan is definitely not too bad for that as well. Might even try to fit in the Khan, I'm not sure. LD-wise, yeah, you could still go for a Crow. And I think I might actually have to refer back to a Crow. Sure, you could use the Roberta, you could use the Nobara. They also have like the harmful effect damage increase, but they're not that crazy. So I think we will go back to Crow. Also, she doesn't have Perfect Eye. I'm not sure about the Nobara, if Nobara has Perfect Eye. So I think it will be revolving around Crow. And I think it will be revolving around Argon. But definitely we'll have to be testing that out properly to try to get to a 20-second team. Because in the end, you are familiar with me trying to run like 20-second teams. Wait, where's the profile thingy? Does the profile now actually also show for all of the dungeons? Is that a thing? Rift beats. Yeah, oh, they actually put all of them and then the rest to the next page. Okay, makes sense, makes sense. So yeah, I definitely will be focusing myself on trying to get similar style of this in the water. I think the water is also the most difficult because it has that skill where it strips and pushes back, which is definitely a little bit harder with the pushback and stuff, but I'm not sure like how often it actually does occur and if you really have to take in account that. Wind one, I think no one is going to be farming this because if you're planning to farm wind, you might as well just farm the normal R5. That's definitely my thing. Fire one might be a thing that people will do to a decent extent, but as mentioned, the drop rate on the fire is, or the drop table on the fire rather set, is really bad. I really dislike that. They could have had like at least a few less of the team up sets, and because the team up sets are in the end the thing that are really bad. And what do I mean with team up sets? We don't need that many fight, we don't need determination, we don't need enhance, we don't need tolerance. Like, these are straight up cells. At least Endure, you get some here and there if you're farming some dragons. You will be using that, right? But these all together, you're barely using that at all. Maybe they're trying to force us to use more of that, I don't know. But yeah, at least with blades, I do get a decent amount of blades that I want to put grinds on. I do get a decent amount of energy I do want to put grinds on because I've been that much in Giants. So this one, the water one, just makes so much more sense. Sure, you get the accuracy, the focus, and the guard, which you don't really need. But yeah, to be honest, I would also have liked it a lot more if you could kind of choose yourself what you do put in and don't put in, and then maybe make a mixture of like 15 things rather than saying like, oh, you have to farm this specific. Because main thing for me is I just want to throw out all of those team things. Like, I don't need accuracy, I don't need tolerance, I don't need enhance, I don't need determination, I don't really need that much fight. That's like, those are the main things that I just want to remove. So yeah, let's see if they actually do upgrade, first of all, the drop rate, because the drop rate in the end is kind of still same, so it's still kind of ass. It is fine to get heroes, don't get me wrong. To get heroes, it's a lot easier. But to get legendaries, it's still kind of ass. Especially with the drop rates. I'm not sure if you ever seen the drop rates on the beast hordes. Pretty darn bad. So yeah, let's just see how that is. But the video of tomorrow is me going to be having a proper team for the Frost Jade. Also, of course, tomorrow is going to be the first arena rush with the new system. So they did mention a few new things about the revamp of the inter-server battle as well. You can read that in there. Not 100% sure how that's going to be working out, but it's definitely something we notice. Arena's a lot more, it's like active, like 636 hits already. That's a lot. That's really a lot. So also, if you do have some interesting teams on this already, and I'm talking about like 25 seconds or below, mainly for either, well, I would say mainly for water, because fire, you can legitimately just run my old team, not that old team, but the old fast team, and you probably be good to go. So mainly for the Frost Jade. If you have any interesting teams, let me know in the comments. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. And see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.